Hey there, thank you for joining me today for some Friday fun. Sorry that I didn't get the devotional video out on Wednesday this week, but the plan is still to be continuing with all of these videos. But today we're going to have a bit of fun, and there's really one big thing for me to talk about today because I love watching Premier League soccer, and that's the soccer league in England, and it restarted recently, and there's a bunch to talk about, really. I will start off by saying Liverpool are champions of the Premier League. It's the first time that they won the top league in England in 30 years. They are one of the big historical clubs, and it's been really interesting. They're a very interesting team to watch too. I know, especially in the United States, a lot of people are thinking that soccer is boring because you see one goal, two goals in a match. There are a lot of draws. Sometimes it can get boring. You'll have players just passing it around, um, nowhere near a goal, just kind of holding on to it, looking to be extra cautious. But that's not the way that Liverpool plays. That's not the way that a lot of teams in England are playing. Um, Liverpool are very attacking. They really try to score and get the ball and move it forward as fast as they can. Um, and yeah, hats off to them. I am a Manchester United fan, which isn't a huge surprise being in the United States. That was always the team that I heard about growing up. But um, I'm a Manchester United fan who only got to know about Manchester United um, 2010. Like that was really when I started focusing on soccer. Was when I got to Indiana Wesleyan, graduated, got to college, and uh, historically, Manchester United and Liverpool were huge rivals. But there's more than one team that plays in the city of Manchester, and that second team, Manchester City, historically has been a team of uh, players who were always underperforming. But since I've become a fan, 2010 forward, maybe 2005 forward, Manchester City have been a huge powerhouse in English soccer, and because of that, the way that I, as this kind of Americanized Manchester United fan who has only been a fan for 10 to 15 years. Um, yeah, I don't know the Manchester United Liverpool rivalry. I know the city rivalry between Manchester United and Manchester City. And so it was really enjoyable for me to watch Manchester City lose and watch them lose the title. There are going to be 7 more games. The way that things work, it's kind of like regular season for most sports, but that's all that you get in soccer is the kind of regular season competition. Any kind of playoff style competition is normally considered less important. There are maybe one or two of those competitions that are seen as very important and valuable, but the regular season in the leagues, that's the big prize that teams want to take. Um, as a Manchester United fan, watching soccer has been weird the last several years. Manchester United had a manager in Sir Alex Ferguson who revolutionized soccer and took Manchester United to become one of the biggest uh, soccer teams in the world. Um, their advertising brand is second to none, pretty much. But after he retired, they took on one manager who probably just wasn't ready and wasn't given enough time to become ready to coach at that level. They brought in another guy who uh, it kind of seemed like he lost one game and decided that his strategy wasn't going to work, and uh, things just fell apart. And then for some weird reason, they hired the manager Jose Mourinho, and this guy. is just a nightmare at the moment. Historically, he uh, won a lot and at one point was a big players coach, and now he's seen as someone who can barely stay at a team for 2 years because of how toxic he is. And maybe he will help teams win, whether the regular season big prize or some of these other uh, big kind of playoff style competitions that they'll enter. Um, but even if they win, he gets so toxic that he's there for a couple years, then he has to leave. And for some reason, Manchester United thought they'd bring him in. He did nothing to help Manchester United move forward. And then Manchester United decided they wanted to kind of ease things with the players, calm troubled waters, and they went to a former player for their manager. A former player who did not really have top level managerial experience. But his name is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He is, I believe, Norwegian, definitely from kind of the Scandinavian countries in Europe. Um, he was known as a player as the, I think, baby-faced assassin. The guy was an incredible player and came back to Manchester United and was just kind of a player's guy, like really positive, working players up. And Manchester United seem different now than what they were when he started. And it's really interesting being a fan of this team because you hear all of the analysts on the one hand saying, well, this isn't the same Manchester United that we were used to. This isn't the team that would just come in and steamroll everyone. They aren't there anymore. They have to rebuild. And for them to rebuild, they're going to have to go get younger players, go get more developmental talents and kind of retool things. And that is where they're at. And then they analyze games and they complain about the ways that Manchester United aren't playing like the team they used to be and aren't at that level anymore. It's like on the one hand they're addressing, Manchester United, they've fallen off, and then on the flip side they're complaining about how that. It's like they don't recognize that Manchester United are attempting to do the things that all of these analysts are saying. Oh well, yeah, like this is what Manchester United need to do to move forward. They have a sense of identity. They have a way of playing that can be very exciting. They're very fast-paced, counter-attacking team, so they will let other teams kind of control the pace of the game. And then when they get the ball, they fly forward. They throw the ball long. They have very fast players to kind of run around the other team. And it's been working out. They've won games against the best teams in England. It means that sometimes they have difficulties beating teams that are just going to say, okay, well, we're just going to defend. But then they've been looking at getting more developmental talents to answer those questions and to fill in some of their holes. And yet, time after time, they're saying, well, if this was Manchester United, they wouldn't be getting this developmental player. They'd be getting the big name guy. And it's just been weird interacting with that. But with soccer, the number one team, it's not the only thing that teams have to play for. You can actually get kicked out of the league. The bottom several teams in England, it's the bottom 3 teams, get moved down a league. They have tiered league structure. So you have the Premier League, which is the number 1 league. And then England decided to name them kind of strange to help attract people. So the Premier League is the top league. The Championship is below that. And then you have League 1 and League 2. It's very strange, but that's what they ended up doing. The last 3 teams in the league will get dropped down to the Championship. And to get into some of the most prestigious tournaments, you need to be in the top 4. This year it could be 5th because of a weird situation. But you're going to be in some of those top 4 positions. And then 5th and 6th will go into another tournament that's like between going to the NCAA tournament and the NIT. That's kind of the way that those are structured. But yeah, it's been very interesting. I'm super excited. I like soccer because it's more of like a suspense thriller. I mean, you never know when something crazy is going to happen. I mean, I remember watching one game, and I think they'd already scored a lot for a soccer match. It was like 3-2 when I first started watching it, and then one team suddenly scored 2 or 3 goals, and then the other team scored a couple, and like the final score was something like 7-5, 7-6, something like that. I mean, it was insane. You never know when that's going to happen. There's always a chance that you are going to see something absolutely incredible, and there's that chance every time. And you never know if it's going to be incredible because it's so amazing and well done, or if it's going to be an error and you're just going to be holding your head in your hands like, how on earth did someone do that? Oh no, it's so embarrassing. And I really like that about soccer, that there is always a chance for action. There are plenty of soccer matches that do just get very boring and aren't fun, but there are plenty that are very fun and exciting. So English Premier League games are on NBC and the NBC Sports Network. And because of the quarantine, normally soccer's over at this point, but because of the coronavirus, soccer leagues across Europe had to postpone matches, and now they're resuming, and so they're having a lot more matches than they normally would have, which means that pretty much any day that you want to turn into NBC in the afternoon, you will find a Premier League soccer match going on. So yeah, I really enjoy it. Really like soccer. There are a lot of teams that are going to be very fun to watch, and it's going to be very interesting. So yeah, if you want to have some fun this weekend, I would encourage you. I'm going to be tuning in to watch Manchester United hopefully get into the top 4 spots and get into the top tournament-style competitions in Europe called the Champions League. It'll just be a lot of fun to watch as things go on. And as of this recording, I think Manchester United has another game coming up. I don't think today, maybe over the weekend. But Manchester United a day or two ago, they just won in a very convincing fashion, 3-0. Very exciting. It was a lot of fun to watch. They could have probably won by 6 or 7, but players have had 3 months off and are just starting to get back into shape, and so players are going to miss more shots than they would have otherwise. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy watching it. So that's something I'm doing for fun right now. I hope you can continue having fun. Sports can give us that kind of break that we often need, and some sports are picking back up. And if you're wondering what sport you possibly could watch, well, there are a lot of soccer matches going on right now, so I'd encourage you to watch that. So thank you for joining me for some fun. God bless you guys. Bye.